Hello everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back for another video of the modern investor. I hope you're all doing well. Hope everyone out there is doing absolutely fantastic. Even better than the last time we spoke. And that you're all having a great day. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. There's a brand new video every 24 hours, and there has been for almost a decade. A very big thank you to everyone who leaves a comment to help out with the algorithm, and without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Welcome back to another edition of Something is Definitely Going On, because this wouldn't make sense otherwise. I assume a large portion of the crypto accumulation that we are currently seeing within the market from these companies who are telling us that they're accumulating probably has, so I mean, I can tell you it has to do with companies trying to accumulate as fast as possible before prices rise. We are currently at the point where we've been hearing since spring that these months are going to be quite significant for price movements, things going up, where many altcoins are expected to do a 5, 10, 20x in price. I know that might sound ridiculous, but this is usually how these cycles play out as we near the end of them. There are a lot of people who think that cycles are over and that these price movements will kind of just continue for however long crypto is around, estimated to now be over at least 100 years. The other part is that these companies are kind of playing basketball with themselves. They own all the money, they have all the power, they have all the energy, if you will, to be able to accumulate all of these coins. But the rate at which they're doing it is quite spectacularly insane, simply because this didn't happen before. And the rate at which it's happening lets me know, and should have all of you on alert, that I think, as I've said before, something is amiss. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but this rapid movement away from the dollar, from fiat currencies, and explicitly choosing crypto is it has garnered my my attention. This is a bit of news that I missed. It is still extremely relevant because this company has also recently announced another bit of insanity quite recently. So I mentioned them before. We were talking about them. This must have been weeks ago. I don't remember. There's a couple of companies who've announced their foray into the crypto space, but this one in particular, they're quite interesting for their naming. The company is called 180 Life Sciences Corporation. As I said before, the interesting part is that the company 180 Life Sciences Corporation decided to change their name to ETHZilla. Right. So like Godzilla, but ETHZilla. And that is a heck of a rebrand from 180 Life Sciences Corporation. ETHZilla announced that they hold 82,186 Ether. On the 11th of August, they announced that this was $349 million US. The company acquired the crypto at an average price of $3,800 per coin. They're apparently a biotech company. I assume not anymore with a name like ETHZilla. The company also maintains approximately $238 million in cash, equivalent alongside its ETH position. The company completed a PIPE transaction last week that provided capital for the cryptocurrency purchases. They said, at ETHZilla, that's a crazy name, we have put over $350 million in capital to work since the PIPE transaction we completed last week, and have executed on our strategy to rapidly build a differentiated Ethereum treasury vehicle. This was said by the executive chairman of the company. They are now one of the companies who is vying along with BitMine. If you missed BitMine, they were a Bitcoin mining company. I don't know what is up with this like rapid rebranding and like makeover kind of thing going on. But BitMine announced that they have, I think, 1 million Ether, and they're currently trying to raise money to buy 20x the amount that they have. And ETHZilla is no different in their desire to accumulate a large amount of Ether as well. A lot of these companies have explicitly announced that they're doing so to create an Ethereum treasury, some kind of a strategic reserve, as we have heard from a number of analysts, that they're expecting Ethereum to go to 6 figures and eventually hit $1 million per coin. And I lightly say that this would make sense if we were in a world with a $70 million Bitcoin. I'm throwing them a bone there. But many of these companies have announced that they're doing this to also stake the Ether as well. It provides a generous amount of passive income. What's 3% of $349 million? What is that of $2 billion? And this is what we are currently witnessing. The company plans to rebrand as ETHZilla Corporation and has partnered with Electric Capital to manage its treasury strategy. There we go. The recently purchased ETH will be staked, of course. Why would you not stake $349 million? Through Electric Capital's Ethereum network strategies to generate yield, according to the company. Look forward to hearing from them again. These companies are relentless, and there's always a new one. I mean, for Ethereum, it seems to be weekly. I think a lot of the ones that we heard from before were, a couple of weeks ago, but it feels like once a week we're hearing about some kind of an Ethereum reserve company. But they tend to go pretty hard, pretty fast. We're not hearing about any like $2 million purchases for Ether. It's constantly like hundreds of millions. So by any normal stretch of a calculation, a lot of the companies who we've heard from, in case you weren't here, announced that they each would like anywhere from 5 to 10% of all the Ether that actually exists. So by normal numbers, that would mean 10 to 20 companies owning all remaining Ether. The problem is that if they all want 10%, it's going to be a lot less, because almost 33% of all Ether is already being staked. A large amount of it is being held by companies from the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, from banks who are going to be launching their stablecoins. And it looks like we're going to have a bit of a brawl with a number of these Ethereum companies who are announcing that they, want a certain amount that just doesn't really exist anymore. Keeping in mind, normal investors also have half an ETH, 1.5 ETH, and I would assume those are millions of people across multiple addresses. So it's going to get intense really, really fast. Tying directly into it. Once again, clearly something is afoot. Something is going on. Something is happening that we aren't explicitly hearing about. It says Ethereum is dominating the cryptocurrency market with extraordinary price strength. We're hearing from a lot of people. They're expecting a $7,500 Ether to an $8,000 Ether soon. Like soon. Surging over 200% since April and positioning itself as the top performing major asset in the space. The rally has fueled growing optimism among analysts, with many projecting that all-time highs could soon be within reach. The combination of robust fundamentals, increasing institutional participation, and a favorable legal environment have created a perfect backdrop for Ethereum's latest surge. One of the most striking developments supporting the rally is the historic drop in Ethereum supply on exchanges, now at its lowest levels ever. If you weren't here, about 5 times this year, it's been in the news that Ethereum supply kept on shrinking on exchanges. The news that we kept on hearing about is that the amount of Ether on exchanges had not been this low, you remember, since 2015. You know what else would happen in 2015? Ethereum launched. Yes, so that was months ago when we heard that, hey, it hasn't been this low since the coin was first released. And now it's even lower. A lot of these companies are buying OTC, but many of them are also buying not completely through the market. But we've heard once or twice that a lot of these people are doing these purchases in just smaller batches over the course of a certain period of time. They want all of the ether that's actually left. This signals strong long-term holding behavior among investors and reduces the amount of ETH readily available for sale, amplifying the potential for upward price moves. Institutional interest has been particularly understatement, with large-scale purchases adding sustained buying pressure to the market. Some analysts are now warning of a possible supply shock. If there's only so much Ether left, and you have all these companies announcing by the end of the year, we want $15 billion worth of Ether. We want $62 billion worth of Ether. We want 7 million Ether in our wallets. It is going to dry up incredibly fast. Ethereum has for a while not been a retail coin. So, and I'm going to give it to you this way, as nice as possible. A lot of people who basically big money is into Ether. I don't know how to really put it that way. A lot of retail investors or smaller investors tend to go for XRP, or they'll go for Cardano. They'll go for not smaller cap, but like lower in price kinds of coins. Not that they're bad by any means. Ethereum being thousands of dollars a coin has shifted it to something that basically only rich people would be able to buy an entire coin of. And that's been this way for some time. The problem is that Ethereum, like Bitcoin, kind of runs the market. It is a huge, gigantic entity. It's not a joke when I say when Ethereum goes up, all the other altcoins move up as well. There's a reason for it. It's a market leader. So we're nearing basically the part where when there is a supply shock for Ether and there's barely any left on crypto exchanges and the price begins to run up and we do get to that $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 Ether, that's when a lot of retail investors will begin to kind of wake up to exactly what it is. But even then, I think we're going to see kind of like a Bitcoin reality play out. When Ether's at 15,000, institutions are going to lose it and try to buy even more than they're buying now. But similar to when Bitcoin was at $15,000, a lot of other investors will simply kind of, the word's not capitulate, but they're going to kind of like just fold over into new coins, newer coins and into the market. The Hedera, the chain links, anything that it looks like it might be undervalued in some form or fashion. It's the same, so once Bitcoin goes over 1 million, it only then is an asset exclusively for the rich. Ethereum will do the exact same thing, and it's left to see which other coins are going to mimic that kind of thing. Many coins that we have tend to have billions of coins in their circulating supply. That's not an issue. It's just more of a by the multiples. It is less likely for a coin that has 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 billion coins to reach $15,000 over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. It may eventually happen, but yeah, so Ethereum has like swapped really fast into like an institutional corporate kind of coin. and they are going to implement the actual supply shock, which will benefit all altcoin holders, but everyone else is going to come to the conclusion really fast, like, oh, I should have got a supply shock, a scenario where rapidly increasing demand meets extremely limited supply, potentially accelerating price gains even further. With Ethereum's network fundamentals strengthening and sentiment reaching new highs, the coming weeks could prove decisive in determining whether Ether pushes into uncharted territory and sets fresh all-time highs in this market cycle. That would be the $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. That's exactly what it means. Everyone has, we've seen the push, we've seen the buy, we've seen the institutional interest, and we've also had analysts more or less telling us that prices are going to 3x, 4x. We're here now, so let's see some of those numbers. Here's a really big one. There's an analyst. His name is Ted Pillows. At least that's his name on, I assume, the interwebs. A mysterious wallet. Yeah, so we get a lot of, like before a couple of years ago, we had those like 100 and 800 wallets if you weren't here. There have always been mysterious crypto wallets in some form or fashion that we begin to hear from on-chain analytical companies are buying large amounts of crypto. They'll pop up randomly. This one, however, kind of takes the whole blockchain cake. A mysterious wallet purchased 1.34 billion with a B, $1.34 billion worth of Ether over the course of 8 days. Yeah, marking one of the largest single accumulation streaks in recent history. Whatever's happening with Ethereum, the news that we've gotten has to do with the banks and the institutions and the stable coins being built on top of it. That doesn't explicitly equate into one wallet purchasing $1.34 billion worth of Ether. So I think this logically makes sense. We're not being told everything, but I think behind the scenes, even after all the amazing news we've been told about the market, I think something crazy is happening. I think there is like an actual, like someone knows on this date, this is going to take place, or this is going to happen, or this company, behind the scenes announced this. One of their, higher ups has a friend and he told another friend, we're planning on making this move. We're building on top of this. We're planning on like something happened because, you don't get a company called 180 Life Sciences rebranding into ETHZilla and accumulating $333 billion more of Ether just because they randomly wanted to. We have never had news before that there was a random wallet that appeared and then purchased $1.34 billion worth of Bitcoin. These are very particular things that are taking place within this market that kind of let me know that there's definitely something going on. Something happened where I think someone said something. Someone made something known to their corporation, institution, to their friends. Because once again, the other company that was a Bitcoin mining company announced 7 weeks ago, not only were they not touching Bitcoin anymore, they're not mining Bitcoin, they're going full steam ahead into Ethereum. And then even more so, they announced that they had 1.1 million Ether that they just purchased. What compels you to do that as a Bitcoin company? It just doesn't. So, yeah, I understand the stable coins being built on top of Ether, but stable coins are being built on top of many other chains as well. So, well, yeah, something is happening. I personally would not be upset if in the near future we got to a $10,000 or $15,000 Ether. That would really mean a lot of the altcoins that you're holding would perform drastically well. But I really do wonder if cycles are over. Something feels different. about this entire thing that we're going through right now. Yeah, I think that is going to do it for this video, everyone. Very big thank you, as always, to everyone who left a like, who left a comment, who has subscribed. Welcome. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening every single day within this market, and it seems almost never ending because based on the way that things are currently moving. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.